What's good, y'all? It's your boy Jet Ski Chuck back with a
Jet, are you okay? Power levels are fluctuating.
We got another creepy and disturbing video coming right at you. More disturbing theories, creepy discoveries that'll definitely make you rethink your entire reality, make your head spin, all that. Hyper mode, activate. Going quantum. What in the world? Australia, y'all got some explaining to do. That looks like straight out of a Star Wars movie, doesn't it? And keep your head on a straight swivel. Yo, that giant is really sitting down. It looks like he got his hands on his knees, just chilling. Like, up, we all getting petrified. It's about to hit me. Up, there it is. Damn. Kind of reminds me of that movie, the Troll movie. I haven't watched it, but I've seen clips of it, and that definitely gives me troll vibes. Where's my hat? Cha-ha. He threw that to another continent, did he? How long would it take to reel that boy in?
One tunnel, Billy, goes straight down, and you can't see the bottom of it. We're going to see that in a second. I've got some images. What's at the bottom of that first tunnel?
Well, underneath the Great Sphinx, there's a lot of tunnels. Some of them lead out for miles underneath Giza. And according to the Emerald Tablets, Thoth claims to have even hidden a ship of some type underneath the Sphinx. There have been ground-penetrating radar reports stating that about a mile down, there's a massive cavern or some kind of opening with something underneath the Sphinx. Nobody's been given access to go that deep.
When you say ship, ship for the water or ship as in a craft?
Well, he calls it a ship that has the capability of battling an invader from the deep, and he's talking about deep space.
Right.
So I don't think it's a ship that sails out on the ocean. I think it's a spaceship of some type. He says the one that is the wisest will be able to free the ship and defeat the enemy with ease.
Damn, so there's a ship hidden under the Sphinx? That's interesting. Kind of reminds me of that Baltic Sea anomaly. You haven't heard about the Baltic Sea anomaly? Oh, y'all gotta check this out. Let me type it in real quick. How do you spell Baltic Sea anomaly?
You know there might be a crashed UFO underwater off the coast of Sweden? It's called the Baltic Sea Anomaly, and in 2011 explorers discovered this bizarre object on the seafloor. When they returned to study it more, their equipment strangely stopped working when they got within 650 feet of it, and it would turn back on again when they backed off. It's around 200 feet wide and 26 feet tall, and it appears like it could be man-made. Its circular shape and angular patterns on it has led many to believe that it could be an alien spaceship. However, most scientists agree that it's probably just a glacial deposit. But what do you think it is?
Where did this strange object in the Baltic Sea come from? In 2011, an unidentified object was found in the Baltic Sea between Sweden and Finland. Initial sonar images showed a peculiar object, almost similar to the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars. And behind it, a 1,000-foot-long runway, indicating that it might have crashed at the site. However, when the Ocean X team decided to explore further and take some high-quality images of what was on the seabed, their photographic equipment failed on them. Furthermore, the object, now known as the Baltic Sea anomaly, was discovered to be emitting a mysterious electrical signal that jammed the sonar and drained the battery in their satellite phones. Till this day, scientists have no idea what the object is, or where did this strange object in the Baltic Sea come from.
So this is what's known as the Baltic Sea anomaly. And Swedish explorer Peter Lindbergh discovered it in 2012 while searching for a lost shipwreck. And this thing is 300 feet below the Baltic Sea. It's 200 feet wide and 26 feet tall. And you can see that it kind of bears a striking resemblance to the Millennium Falcon in Star Wars. Many scientists say this structure appears to be made of metal. And what's crazy is electric and satellite diving equipment reportedly cut out when near the object. And sonar has found drag marks behind the object, and geologist Steve Weiner says, according to tests, this structure is not a geological formation. What do you guys think? Is this some...
It's definitely not a geological formation. I need to start using that. That is not a geological formation. That boy was flying. What type of weird fantasy do they got going on here, man? Look at them in the back. Everybody's doing it. This might be some type of demonic ritual, some type of... I'm telling you, something weird's going on.
This was insane to see in person.
Point is, how can they project holograms of that size?
And therein lies the problem, because people are, when you see hologram, they're thinking of a Walt Disney little pixie dancing around in a little darkness area. That's all they know about holograms. They don't know that 20 years ago we could project a hologram with heat, noise, light, speed, anything we wanted, anywhere. And we use that on 9/11. Right now, the television industry is ready to bring out television quality programs that you could put right on your desk. And you have a little thing here. You can raise it up like this. I mean, you can enlarge it. You can bring it down to small. You can move it over there. You can move it over there, wherever you want. And it looks just like, and you can stand all around it and see from all sides. And the Japanese, a year ago, announced that not only do they have that, but they have it. They have touchy-feely 3D holograms that you can touch it. 10 years ago, they invited 30 of the top TV industrials, producers and stuff, and similar to that, they took them into a small theater that accommodated about 40 or 50 people, and sat them down, and they said the future of television. A normal light like that, the lights didn't go out, and the guy comes from behind the curtain. He looked maybe well over 60, white hair, glasses. When he started talking, is obviously Eastern European with an accent. He started talking about the TV, how the tubes were initially made, the cathode ray tubes, and how it developed into this and that and so on. And as he's talking, he gets off the podium, walks up one aisle, down that aisle, looks at the audience, takes off his glasses, cleans them, walks up one aisle, down another aisle, gets back up on the podium. Everybody, by about this time, everybody's getting bored of stuff they've already heard. And he says, I want to thank you very much. And then just turned him off like that in front of everybody. It seems like what you're saying, but this is what they can do, but they can't bring it in right now because it's too close to 9/11. People are going to associate, when they were yelling at John Lear, 5 years ago saying this was possible and saying it's impossible. There has to be a screen. There has to be a background. There has to be something we can project it on. It's bullshit. They don't know what's going on or how things develop, so.
Kind of reminds me of that Tupac concert. I believe he had a whole concert where he was a hologram, but everyone could tell that's a hologram though. They talking about like something that could really deceive people. That's kind of creepy.
Point I found extremely interesting. Official documentation claiming the Earth is and that mathematical equations used in aeronautics assume a flat, non-rotating Earth. Check these out. This is a CIA document sourced from the Russians, and it's titled Dissertations Defended in the Scientific Council of the Institute of Physics of the Earth. In the document, it mentions a near sun and a formula that is derived on the assumption of this United States Army document from the Army Research Laboratory on the propagation of electromagnetic fields over mentions transmitters placed on the surface of a in one of its figures, it also mentions in another Army Research Laboratory document, it depicts a diagram showing a flat crepuscular rays that we mentioned earlier and a near and localized sun. Here's another document on projectile flight dynamics, and the equations in the document assume a Here's a NASA document on the derivation and definition of a linear aircraft model. Introduction. This report details the development of the linear model of rigid aircraft of constant mass flying over a NASA document on the SR-71 Blackbird and its top speed of 2,193 miles per hour. Maneuvers depending on a non-turbulent atmosphere and a non-rotating Earth. Federal Aviation Administration document. Equations of motion assuming a Another NASA document. A rigid aircraft flying in a stationary atmosphere over a An aircraft model for the AIAA Controlled Design Challenge. Flight dynamics of a rigid aircraft flying in a stationary atmosphere over a NASA Technical Paper 1285. A NASA Georgia Tech project in conjunction with the U.S. Air Force. A model frequently used is that you have to admit that a lot of these flight calculations are based on a because they come right out and say it. This next point I found extremely interesting. Official document.
I like how you can zoom in and do like a 3D and look at the city and everything. But my issue is that when you zoom out and you go into outer space, this Earth that we live on turns into a cartoon. This is a cartoon now. Where is the real Earth? Oh, that's right. Space ain't a real place. That's why this camera doesn't go into outer space. In fact, I'm going to show you right now where these images come from.
It's not that they wouldn't use the magical floating satellites if they could. It's that they don't physically exist, nor does the globe. They have been sending these up one at a time since it all began. I will allow them to explain it.
It's also the genesis for NASA's newly developed super pressure balloon.
The reason for super pressure balloon is they have absolutely stable altitude, day, night, and it doesn't matter how cold the atmosphere is. They are sealed.
So your shape is always the same. You always displace the same amount of air, and therefore you have the same amount of buoyancy all the time.
NASA's been using balloons for science research for over 30 years. The exploration that can be done on balloons is continuing to grow. Standard balloon that I fly is about 660 feet long when it's made.
So let me get this straight. It is now public knowledge that they send up satellites on massive helium-filled balloons. As you should know, NASA is the largest consumer of helium in the world, for obvious reasons. But the issue with society is that they never critically think. Just think for a second here. If these are sent up to provide the world with all of the important information we need, and I'm sure the entire process is expensive and difficult to accomplish, then please explain to me what in the flat world do these pathetic animations do for you? Do they make you happy inside? Are they so super duper cool that you cannot see past the obvious CGI? The fact of the matter is everything NASA sends up on a balloon simply hovers above our motionless Earth. That is why they rarely speak about orbiting satellites, and of course, they never show footage. Here is some footage of a random evening with a man, the moon, and his Nikon P900. Notice anything floating up there?
Hey, Bart, so bright out you can't see anything in the sky except the Fox satellite. No, Lisa.
And these satellites come crashing down. They fall out of the sky with those helium balloons attached to them all over the world. But you don't hear about it because you likely get your information from mainstream media. And I'm going to tell you why that's a bad idea. The same people that own the news are the same people that are perpetuating this hoax, alright? If you want the truth, you got to find it
Planes
yourself.
came crashing to the ground. The failed launch of a balloon carrying a multi-million-dollar space telescope had onlookers scrambling for safety.
Never know what's going to happen. This baby fell out of the sky and landed in our yard. It's never boring on the Welke farm. Thank God there's no horses out or it didn't hit the house. And it's still going and flashing.
I like how you can zoom in and do like the 3D and look at the city and everything.
Are you kidding me?
When you zoom out,
they've been lying to us. They're just helium-filled balloons for entertainment purposes only. Let me know your thoughts about that.
For instance, on the Red Bull dives that Felix Baumgartner did that everybody has seen, if you notice, the outside cameras are clearly wide-angle lens, and then there's an inside cockpit camera that isn't. And as you're watching it from the outside cameras, you'll notice that the supposed curvature of the ball Earth starts really early on, just as he's lifting off. And the exact same curvature stays exactly the same all the way up to the point where he's going to jump. So the curve is the same, but his altitude has risen by many, many miles. The reason the curve is the same, of course, is because it's a wide-angle lens effect. It's not actually the curve of the horizon. It just seems that way. Right. And that's proven by the inside camera, which, as the door opens, you can see the horizon out that inside camera. It has risen to the eye of the camera. As I said, on a ball Earth, you wouldn't open that camera and have the horizon right at eye level in front of you, no matter how big the ball was. That effect can only happen on a flat plane, and you can see in that dive shot that the inside camera, the horizon is completely flat. Then it goes to the outside, and you got a huge curve. But when you're looking at some of the amateur balloon footage, some of it's lens corrected and it's completely flat, and others, like the GoPro stuff, the horizon will fluctuate as the camera spins and tilts. The horizon will go convex and concave, but whenever it's still, it will level off that completely.
Strictly for entertainment purposes only. None of this has been fact-checked. Do your own research on everything to decide what is fact and what is fiction. And keep your head on a straight swivel.
What's his name? Felix Baumgartner. He would have been about 2 millimeters above the surface of this globe. That's his edge of space jump.
And keep your head on a straight swivel.
Now, you know, I don't. It's fine. He wants to. I don't have a problem if he does it, but the honesty of it would greatly diminish what I think people thought he was actually doing. And not only that, they make sure to photograph him standing there with a really wide-angle lens, which curves horizontal lines. So in the photo, you see this curvature of Earth's surface, and he said, "Wow, he's in space. Look at that." No, he's not. At that height, you don't see the curvature of the Earth if you are 2 millimeters above this beach ball. You just don't. That stuff is flat. And by the way, the images when they showed Felix Baumgartner, where he's prepared to jump, you see this curved Earth. That's a fisheye lens, dude. Okay? Fisheye lenses take horizontal lines and bend them convex when you're above the midplane of the photo.
Damn, even he's tired of the lies. He's like, all right, y'all got to see the truth now. Yeah. I'm looking around and let me tell you guys something. He's got a point. I'm up here right now. We're in the stratosphere right now, bucko. And everything they just said, fact.
Is anybody else just fed up with the absolute distraction, deception, lies that everything feels like? It's really hard when you're awake and you have such a deep awareness. It's lonely. It's lonely because no one understands you. People start to think you're crazy. I've been, isolated, essentially. I feel like God has isolated me to a point where I am forced to work on my relationship with him. I am forced to find peace in him. And when you find that, it's not something you want to let go of, and you crave more and more and more of it. And you go through this so many times that you start to just feel different. You start to live life differently. It's hard for me to ignore deception. Things going on in the royal family, things going on in Hollywood, things going on with the elites. Like, we all know what's going on. Most of us at this point are awake to it, but you start to see it so fast and so clearly, and it's kind of a lonely place to be, because you start speaking out about the truth, which is crazier than fiction sometimes, and it's crazy to people, and they don't understand it. And when you are living with such a deep understanding of the truth, and and you can spot so clearly when someone is walking in true Jesus ways and when they're not. And I'm not perfect, I'm not even close, but I do my best to live like the Bible wants us to live, right? And when you see other people being deceptive, and then there's all these people out there that, will be so quick to cry, oh, you're such a conspiracy theorist. Like, we're talking about living in truth here, okay? It's not even about the actual theories that are happening. It's just that we're clear that there's deception, and we just want the truth at this point. We want to live with honesty and transparency, and man, it's so hard. And I find myself in such a deep awareness of God and protecting my peace so much that it's hard to be around other people. The meaningless, what's the weather doing today? What'd you do this weekend? Oh yeah, we're going on a trip. All that stuff is just, it's fine, but
I really don't even get into sports, like NBA, football. I don't even watch sports. I mean, I ain't knocking anybody who does, but it's just like, why?
it's not, I crave such a I crave honesty and truth and transparency and deep connections with people and deep conversations about life, about what's going on in our world, about God, about, how hard it is to be awake sometimes, to be walking in a more biblical way and turning your life over to Jesus and what that looks like. And I find it tough. Even people that are, in the church, I feel like are all hiding something. We're not being honest and truthful with each other because we're either ashamed or we feel guilty or whatever. But, it's so important that I recently heard it's so important that we confess these things and confess our lives and be truthful and be honest. And that's what I want. And finding people who understand that. I mean, it's like, where? It's funny because I see people on this app and I'm like, I know they're out there, right? Like, we know that there are other people like us out there, but how come they're not in my friend circle? Why don't they live closer? Why are they not in my immediate friend circle? It's just a lonely place sometimes. Being awake is extremely lonely. Sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. And what do you do with that? That's why I just keep digging in deeper. I just dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm doing this Bible study right now about, our identities in Christ, and it's like, man, I've had it wrong this whole time. I have literally worried more about what my title has been at my job. My friends have thought about my situation or circumstances, what my relationships have said about whether I'm worthy to be chosen or valued or respected or not, that like I've completely lost sight of what we should be looking at, and that is God, and God first and foremost. And now I see darkness and evil so easily. It's hard. I can't listen to the same music I used to listen to. I don't see Hollywood the same. I don't see elites the same. I see the deception. I see everything for what it is. And it's like, man, everything that we thought we knew is not what we knew. It's not. And finding people that understand that and can like really go into those conversations, it's difficult to find. But if you're out there and you're one of me, just know that I'm out here too. So we're not alone.
It is extremely lonely. You know, you're alone, but you're not alone at the same time. There's more people that's becoming more awake. You know, there's a lot more people out there. But at the same time, it's a difficult walk. Like all the people you grew up with, they're gone. They're gonna look at you crazy. They're gonna be like, you know, I have people literally tell me, Chuck, I literally don't want to hear that scary stuff, man. That stuff is too scary to me. And I'm literally just talking about the good book. I'm like, all right, man. But I have no one to talk to. But, you know, some people do awaken, you know. Every soul is like a magnet to being saved. Like, they want to be saved. Every soul is like that. It's like a magnet to wanting to be saved. So if you have the living waters coming out of your mouth, it is a natural magnet. Like that, it's like, man, that feels good. Like you're watering a plant. That's the best way I can describe it. I'm not perfect. I'm not no preacher or nothing. I'm just telling y'all the best way I can do it on these waters, you know. But yeah, that was beautiful. Let's keep it going. I'm not done. Let's keep going on these waters, y'all. If y'all haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, I know some of y'all forget, but and share this. Facebook, Instagram, whatever y'all use nowadays, I don't know. Share it. Let's keep going.
A lot of people can't be alone with themselves. Mm-hmm. They can't. Right. I can be alone with myself. Mm-hmm. I don't need to talk to nobody or nothing. I can talk to myself and figure it out. A lot of people don't want to face themselves. Right. And that's an act of valor. That's commendable. Mm-hmm. Because through isolation is where we reach elevation. Mm-hmm. That's when most of my epiphanies happen, when I'm alone.
When did you sign up Monster Energy? When did you sell your soul? Tell me. You signed your soul recently, bro, right? I ride motorcycles. Isn't it funny that anytime I fight someone, Monster signs them immediately and becomes a fan of them? You know why? Because I didn't sell out. I didn't sell my soul. What'd you have to do to that thing? Huh? What'd you have to do to sell your soul to get that deal? Next time you have to look in the mirror and know that you're a little... And you sold your soul for Monster. You sold your soul to that Monster. I didn't look in the mirror and be happy. Give me a certified guy for the Monster, bro. I've been live with Monster. Why did they fill these up? Silly.
And this isn't the first time that Israel has removed the Monster Energy drink from the table he's sitting at. In 2019, he put out something saying, some things money can't buy, like actual friends, integrity, or real skills.
Point Brady lost the first round, second round, he had a much better round. But Alex Bajeda did not respect the power of Israel Adesanya.
Look at your M closely. There's a gap right here in the letter M. It's never connected. So you go into Hebrew. The letter Vav is also the number 6. Short top and long tail. short top, long tail. You could have here in Hebrew 666 on the can. But my interest is the word constant. What do you see in the O? There's a cross. Okay. What has Christ got to do with an energy drink, let alone the name Monster? So I thought, well, maybe this is a Christian company then. VFC at the bottom of the can. Do you know what that stands for? That's the F word. They can't. In fact, they write it on the side of the can, so I know that's the F word. Okay. Now, do you know what a MILF is? Yes, that's on the box. MILF, stick it, and you will too. This is not a Christian company at all. So why would they have their cross on the can? Here's the message. Antichrist. 666.
Talk to them, sister. They don't hear you.
6 in Hebrew, and then the Bible talks about the face in Revelation. And look at Monster's hat. This is the shape. You see these hats, t-shirts, bumper stickers. These have another agenda here. If God can use people as product, so can Satan. And look at it this way. Even if the M was not the issue, you cannot deny that that is a cross. And what is witchcraft? When the cross goes upside down, bottoms up, and the devil laughs. Something to think about. Wow. This is how clever Satan is, and how he gets into the Christian home and a Christian's life, and it breaks theirs. Jesus said, my people.
Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed by a lack of knowledge.
Will perish for lack of knowledge.
When did you sign a monster?
Our very distinguished guest for this evening is Admiral Richard E. Byrd.
The North Pole used to be a no man's land, but these are the days when, by buying a ticket on a commercial airliner, you can fly across the North Pole and drink a cocktail at the same time. Yet only 30 or more years ago, about 35 years ago, our guest tonight found out whether there was any land north of the North American continent.
In other breaking news, the world is round, not flat.
Our very distinguished guest for this evening is Admiral Richard E. Byrd.
In other breaking news, the world is round, not flat.
Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed.
If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think.
In other breaking news, the world is round, not flat.
Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed.
If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
The boundaries which divide life from death are at best shadowy and vague. Who shall say where the one ends and where the other begins?
If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have the key to the universe.
Sun's the light of this world. Without it, there's no light here. There's your baseline. I call it an aperture, but what I know is that the older authors that we have trouble getting a hold of, they know exactly what it was. They're called luminaries in their consciousness. And to try to give someone a way to consider this, I'll ask a simple question. Is the earth, what we call the earth, is it alive? I accept that it's alive, and it's part of the creation. How can I look at these other luminaries and not consider them as alive? Everything is alive. Everything has a vibrational rate. The sun is hard to fathom because we've been told so many things that aren't true. It's just a mind warp, all of it. The sun is and always has been a major part of what it means to be here. One of the most foundational parts. It is referenced in the Bible to a level that I can't even communicate with you, and most people who read the Bible are probably not ready to consider what I just said. It's almost like we're quarantined here. As a matter of fact, I accept that we are quarantined here, and we're quarantined in the dark, except for the sun, which gives us half a day or less, mostly less, of light. There's a spiritual aspect to the sun. It creates the foundational truths of this place. Light and day are foundational for what it means to live here. Seasons are ultra foundational to what it means to be here. Thank the sun and the sky clock for those foundations. I consider it at this point an aperture. I filmed a thing that I call the sun we don't see, and it's been reflected in masonry, woodcut communications or scribing boards. It's been written about in a lot of places. If it's not true, then maybe it's a reflection on the firmament. But the point is what you've been told about it is nonsense. What you've been told about all the luminaries is nonsense.
Strictly for entertainment purposes only. None of this has been fact-checked. Do your own research on everything to decide what is fact and what is fiction. And keep your head on a straight swivel.
Listen, we on one today, y'all. These disturbing theories, creepy TikToks are hitting today, aren't they? Make sure you're dropping comments on what you're seeing and you want to chime in on. I don't care if you drop 7 of them. As long as we're talking, communicating, and getting it past what we need to do. Let's keep going.
I'll point out that there's only 48 active astronauts worldwide out of almost 8 billion people. And this gentleman here says we can only send a handful of astronauts to space at a time. Who is we? That's my first question. My next question is, if we're just a speck of dust in this infinite amount of space that is ever expanding, why is there no industry for it? Why is there only a handful of astronauts going to space? I'd imagine it's because a handful of people can keep a secret much better than millions of people could. You know, everything that has anything to do with space has been debunked and is currently being debunked every single day. And if you believe that they did, I don't know whether to feel sorry for you or to feel sorry for myself because I didn't have such a great childhood to where I'm still believing in fairy tales. Satellites, they are attached to helium-filled balloons and they are within our firmament. This is a fact. Find me a picture of a satellite orbiting our, quote, planet. There are allegedly 6,500 of them up there. You mean to tell me one satellite can't show you the others? Come on, make it make sense. Then people are going to get in the comments and say, space is dark. You know, they can't take pictures of... Dude, look at the ISS footage. It's pretty bright up there if you ask me. None of it makes sense. But you're not looking at it critically because you've been indoctrinated to accept a set of beliefs. That's what indoctrination is. And after you accept these set of beliefs, it becomes your religion. No different than Hinduism, Catholicism, atheism. And just like with any religion, you get upset with others when they present information that doesn't coincide with your belief system. My guy, you're working on blind faith. I'll bet it all right now you've never been to space. You've never been up high enough to look down and see what you've been living on. We were all born into a wildlife preserve for humans. You see, your brain can only go as far as the information it carries, and nobody informed you on what this place really is. Some of us have eyes to see it and some of us don't. When all you have to do is follow the clues, follow the money. This hierarchy society that we live in is based on monetary gain. If space was a real place, there would be an industry for it. There would be people capitalizing on space. They will be selling tickets to space for $25,000 a pop. They'll take you up far enough to where you can experience weightlessness and you can look down and see that you live on a globe. The same way they show you the Grand Canyon via helicopter. Space would be a tourist attraction, but it's not, because it can't be. Space ain't a real place, my guy. I'll point out that
we on a dome this episode. Oh my God.
Flat Earth means God is real, you have value, and he loves you.
NASA, in its wildest imaginations, never envisioned this scenario. An astronaut drowning in a spacesuit on a spacewalk 260 miles above planet Earth.
Drowning inside his own helmet.
Caused him to nearly drown inside of his own suit.
Water in his helmet?
It's an incredible story.
Harrowing. Almost unfathomable.
Unbelievable. This was one they had never envisioned.
I experienced what it's like to be a goldfish in a fishbowl.
Hey, let's use a diaper. I thought that's a clever solution to this problem.
Yeah, pretty neat. They also came up with the snorkel idea too, you know. Makeshift snorkels.
This snorkel, if water is encroaching your face, the crew member can lean down and use this to breathe. They're ripping that spacesuit apart, trying to figure out where all that water came from. Not like there are that many options when you're out on a spacewalk.
Next on Jonathan Bird's Blue World, Jonathan goes to inner space.
I'm standing on the International Space Station.
Water in space.
NASA says they cannot guarantee the helmet won't fill with water again.
And obviously, if you fill the helmet, you can't breathe.
Scary story. Glad he made out okay. That's a leak.
Oh, it's an explained leak.
A significant leak.
When I was commanding the International Space Station, we had a significant coolant leak.
I imagine there are no insignificant leaks in space.
These things do happen.
It's not, something we don't have plans for.
But,
but you're in space.
You're in space, which means it's much more difficult to fix.
It's a pretty big problem.
Just about 3 hours now since we first observed what you're seeing on the screen, that being a leak.
You can only leak so long, and then eventually you stop leaking because you run out of fluid.
The fluid that you're seeing in the form of snowflake-like particles, it is a bit odd. Do not know what the source of that stream of particles is. A sudden streams looking like a snow shower.
Space is tough, especially whenever you're trying to show video from space.
From the ground in the water tank on orbit, essentially the same picture.
Matthias Maurer was wrapping up a 7-hour-long spacewalk outside the International Space Station when he noticed water leaking into his helmet. It was eerily similar to what happened to an Italian astronaut back in 2013.
You can literally see bubbles coming up from these astronauts' helmets. It's ridiculous.
So many times during spacewalks outside the International Space Station, we can see air bubbles rising up. Can you touch on how there are air bubbles in space? So yeah, like a lot of times during the footage, the NASA footage, you can see bubbles coming up out of the helmets or kind of from underneath you. How do you explain bubbles in space?
Yeah, even on the outside of the space station, you'll liberate little pieces of, it's a really harsh environment out there that's outside of the space station. And sometimes, you need to collect a paint or something that you might just probably blow you away from it. And, that's generally what that is. I've never seen any kind of air bubble anywhere.
Yeah. Could it be that you're filming in an underwater pool and you're not really out
there?
Bubbles in space doing?
That's what? Bubbles in space? Bubbles in space?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
What's up, man? Can you say mine is hashtag bubbles in space?
Hashtag bubbles in space?
Bubbles in space, brother. What's your word on it?
What is that?
Bubbles coming out in the spacewalks?
Oh, you're that guy.
I'm one of those guys.
Yeah, I'm not gonna write that.
Not everybody can be a robot polisher.
Water in space.
He said, "Oh, you're that guy, huh?" No, I'm one of them, brother. We done with the lies. He said, "Oh, you mean you tell us you're filming underwater?" He went straight for the jugular, didn't he? Hey, I love that. Salute to whoever said that, man. Yeah, it's a wrap for him, man. We all know. Let's keep it going on these waters. Switch gears.
For entertainment purposes only, do your own research on everything. None of this has been fact-checked to decide what is fact and what isn't fiction.
Damn. What type of... This looks interesting. Like it'll almost help you out. Reflexology. Damn, maybe I need some of these. Guys, let me know your thoughts below on these. This is an interesting.
The staircases of Persepolis, located in present-day Iran, are among the most remarkable architectural features of the ancient Achaemenid capital. Built under the reign of Darius I and his successors, these grand staircases were designed to lead visitors up to the majestic terraces of Persepolis, where the royal palaces and ceremonial buildings stood. The staircases of Persepolis, located in present-day Iran, The stair
Could this be beyond the Antarctic wall? This is a possibility, y'all. What type of tunnels do you know that's ice covered? Very interesting, creepy stuff.
Vestigios tecnológicos de piezas móviles convertidas o hechas piedras. Vestigios tecnológicos de piezas.
All right, guys. I've been on these waters for a little bit, and now when I'm seeing structures like this, could this be the same technology that they used back in the day for their ancient quantum computers? It could be. These things are definitely generating something. The question is what? Were they just generating pure energy, or was it something else a little bit deeper? Your thoughts below, especially on these ancient temples that can move. We might need to dive into that. That might sound like something we need to do tomorrow, honestly. Just have a whole episode. We're diving in these ancient structures that can move and spin like this. I know they're real prominent in India. If you have any other places that you know of that can spin like this, drop it in the comments below so I can dive into it.
Vestigios.
This one literally looks like some type of gorilla. Or it could be a man. This is a man sleep. I'll say a gorilla again, but yeah. This one you can kind of see the man's nose, the mouth, the chin. Elephant, of course. Another elephant. Yeah, man, petrified giants.
Have carefully masked these. There are mountains in the world that hide ancient pyramids beneath them. Nature and time have carefully masked these incredible structures underground. They are most commonly found in places like Bosnia, Mexico, and China. There are mountains in the world that hide ancient pyramids beneath them.
Have you ever been to Teotihuacan? This guy whose nickname was Gorilla giving us this wonderful tour. And he goes, wait right here. And we're in this giant square.
There are mountains.
Have you ever been to Teotihuacan? This guy whose nickname was Gorilla giving us this wonderful tour. And he goes, wait right here. And we're in this giant square. And he runs down this dirt mound about 150 feet away, 200 feet away. And he goes, can you hear me? And it was like, oh my God, I could hear him. He goes, this square was built with these mounds here to be able to speak at this voice to 250,000 people.
Whoa.
And I was like, what? That means these acoustics are so perfect. Like how do you discover that?
Yeah, how many thousands of years did it take before they figured out how to construct something?
Yeah, where someone on their deathbed is like, wait, one last thing about acoustics. Have you ever been to Teotihuacan? This guy who's...
That is fascinating. He can talk in his normal voice and they can hear you. Man, they just keep discovering stuff every day about, how you say it? Teotihuacan. I know that pathway that they were walking.
His nickname was Gorilla.
It's called like the pathway of the Walking Dead or something like that. I don't know, but it had some type of creepy, disturbing name to it. That little pathway.
To the banks. Take that to the...
Have you ever been to...
There it is. Take that to the banks. Take that to the banks.
I don't know if it'd be doing.
It's the face.
I don't. I'm out, dude.
Oh, somebody should call.
Camera gotta straighten itself out.
Yeah. So who do we call?
Call one of the TV stations.
Get it right.
Somebody call one of the
All right, there you go.
Call one of the TV stations.
I don't know the number.
There you go.
If
Check
that's
it.
not a UFO, what is it?
Check it out. There it is.
Yeah, but
Beautiful. Scary at the same time.
you want my phone? You want
Yeah,
phone?
yeah.
Look at that. Now look at that. See this? Couldn't see it at first with my naked eye because I'm trying to look at the moon and the camera at the same time. But check that out. Look at that. Like it's floating. There it is. Take that to the banks. Take that to the banks.
It thinks it's tricky.
What was that, man? That's not my first time seeing that. What is that? Damn. Up from the dark web, an actual photo from a long time ago of a Draconian who lived among humans in a small town of the Netherlands. People thought he had a strange illness and were afraid to touch him, but never knew who this beast really was. Damn. Yikes.
There's no way.
That's great animation, but there's no way.
The mummification that you see in Egypt and these tombs, all the riches, all the gold, the cats, the wives are all in there with you. When you go, everybody got to go. Well, why is that? If I'm going to go to some afterlife, I know that this money and gold ain't coming to the afterlife. They were told that the mummification process was about saving the DNA to be brought back to life at a later time. The beginning pharaohs, they were the sons of these Anunnaki gods. We promise you, we're going to bring you back. You're going to be immortal. We'll bring you back to life. So keep everything here, hide it good. While the tombs were hidden, they come back to life. Let me get my key so I can get my gold and get all my riches back out because I'm a rule again. It was about preserving DNA to be cloned, transferred into a brand new body here in this realm, nowhere else. The mummification that you see in Egypt and these tombs, all the riches, all the gold, the cats, the wives are all in there with you. When you go, everybody got to go.
That's definitely more interesting than, what was it, like the Egyptian Book of the Dead, where they believe Anubis was carrying their souls to Damn, that's the same story, isn't it? Just told in a different way. But that ain't salvation, though, if you ask me. It says Operation High Jump, 1946.
They lied to you. The pyramids of Antarctica aren't just snow-covered mountains. They're remnants of an ancient, advanced civilization. But that's not even the craziest part. In recently declassified documents and satellite images, there are unmistakable pyramid-like structures buried under the Antarctic ice. So, how old are these pyramids? And who built them? This is where things get really interesting. Ancient maps, like the Piri Reis map, depict Antarctica without ice, showing detailed coastlines and even mountain ranges. This implies that advanced civilizations knew about Antarctica long before modern explorers. New research and excavations suggest that these Antarctic pyramids were built by an advanced civilization that existed thousands of years ago, possibly even predating the last ice age. But once the ice covered the continent, their structures were buried and their technology lost, hidden away from the world to protect it from being misused. They lied to you. The pyramids of Antarctica aren't just...
Man, Antarctica is fascinating. We are definitely not being told everything about Antarctica.
And then here's the obelisk.
How long is that, roughly? Oh my God. 137 feet.
41.75 meters. And then here's the obelisk.
How long is that, roughly? Oh my God. 137 feet.
41.75 meters. Estimated 1,200 tons. That's 2.4 million pounds or 1.09 million kilograms.
Is that a sacred number?
It's a number that physicists worry about. It's the fine structure constant.
That's all we know.
Yeah.
All we know is that physicists worry about this number. And so it's interesting when it shows up. Again, you can see, now that we've looked at these marks all over the core, you can see it's very faint here because they were sort of making a nice finished surface. But you see this grid?
Yeah.
Like somebody dug a little deep here, like they bored down a little hard on their belt sander and, dug into the material.
So it makes sense if it had all that excess material on it that it's going to be larger than any of the completed ones. Because eventually when they get it to the site and they're ready to stand it up, they face it.
Right.
And then here's the obelisk.
They don't want you to know this. Beneath the paws of the Sphinx, there are hidden chambers holding the key to unlocking the true history of human civilization. The chambers are the Hall of Records, a vast library containing scrolls and artifacts documenting the lost knowledge of ancient civilizations, including Atlantis. This hall is also said to be filled with advanced technologies and wisdom passed down from a time when humans and gods walked the earth. But here's where it gets crazier. In the 1990s, ground-penetrating radar detected anomalies beneath the Sphinx, suggesting presence of voids and cavities. These findings were further supported by seismic studies indicating there are hidden chambers. Despite this, Egyptian authorities have been reluctant to allow further excavation, fueling speculation about what they might be hiding. Revealing the contents of these chambers would rewrite the history of humanity. It would provide evidence of extremely advanced ancient civilizations and technologies. Such evidence would challenge the conventional narrative of human development. What else do you think these chambers hold? They don't want you to know this. Beneath the paws of the Sphinx.
You definitely aren't telling us everything about the Sphinx, but the chambers? Man. I gotta go visit this one day, man. We need to take a field trip. All of us get together one day and just load up and just go, man. Fly out there.
There are hidden chambers holding the key to unlocking the
In 1996, Sima Martel and Sima Humboldt. In 1996, Sima Martel and Sima Humboldt are two huge sinkholes that were discovered in 1961. They are located on the Sari-Sarinama Tepui, a remote 2,500-meter tall flat-topped mountain already known to host unique species. The larger of the two, Sima Humboldt, is so large that it has its own ecosystem at the bottom. Local legends describe them as mystical and evil places. This sinkhole is a lost world embedded into another. Sima Martel and Sima Humboldt.
Damn, we gotta dig off into those sinkholes, man, because they're not telling us everything. They had their own ecosystem in there, and the locals say it was evil. Man, how disturbing is that? It just makes me want to know more about it. Like, where is this located, and what is it actually? Who created those sinkholes? You know? Because it couldn't be a natural geological anomaly, if you ask me. Or it's not a natural, didn't form naturally. It just didn't drop and all this stuff happened. Something might have dug that out.
On our planet are all of these megastructures that we just are like, I don't really know.
Did you see that one I posted on Instagram the other day?
No.
Check this out.
The Borobudur temple is an uncontested marvel whose intricate architecture continues to confound scholars. Despite being one of the most important sites on Java, there is no written record of who erected it or what its intended purpose was. Because there are no inscriptions or dates on the monument, historians must make educated guesses as to when it was most likely created. The dating estimates are based purely off of architectural comparisons found elsewhere in Indonesia. Given the magnitude of the construction, it appears remarkable that no ruler or dynasty took credit for it. Borobudur is the world's biggest Buddhist temple, and yet nobody knows who built it.
There's a bunch of these things. There's a bunch of things like that. They're just like, who made this?
On our planet
I've wanted to dive into this temple. Let me see the name of it real quick, guys.
For all of these mega structures that we just are like, I don't really know.
Did you see that one I posted on Instagram the other day?
No.
Check this out.
The Borobudur Temple.
That's one we definitely got to dive in on the future, man. Did you guys see how he was dribbling the cheese? That was crazy. Bro, I don't want the coconut if you playing like that. Oh my God. Even if it's free. That's all I got for today's video. If you guys made it this far, be sure you already hit that like and subscribe button and drop a comment down for the algorithm. I really appreciate all you guys. We're building an excellent community. Our community is so amazing. Like, I don't feel alone anymore. Like, people are like, yeah, this is what happened, and we're connecting the dots together. So this is what an amazing, beautiful community. Like, separating fact from fiction. It is just a true honor and blessing to be able to do this, and I do not take it for granted. Every day I wake up, it is a privilege to get up, jump on these waters with you guys, and I am literally, words can never describe how I feel. I can just jump on these waters and do my best with you guys, and I honestly love you for that. I gotta chop this boy up and get it to y'all. I'm trying to bang these boys out by 6 p.m. every single day. So you can expect a video, a banger every day at 6 p.m. I'm not playing. Banger after banger. What? You guys already know how I get down, man. If I need a vacation or a break, I will tell you. But right now, I am on fire. We got to keep these bangers pumping. You feel me? So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and chop this boy up. Be sure to get this out to y'all on time. And I just want to say thank you. I love y'all. God bless. And I'm going to see y'all on the next one.
And keep your head on a straight swivel.